Okay, different play area in the Highlands today, out in Glen Affric, which reputedly one of the most beautiful glens in Europe, so they say. So anyway, what are we out here to do? We're in between showers. It's just about to rain as I speak. Oh, it's actually hail. That's hail coming down, guys. Look at this ice drops. Cool. Right, okay, so on with the review. So what I've got is a crawler. This is my very first crawler. I've had the little tiny ones, the sort of play ones, but this is more a sort of full-on serious one, I would say. And it's 10th scale, as you can see, and I've just done a full review on this, and I'll put a link down in the description. I think this is a pretty good value for money, full-on 10th scale sort of off-roader, four-wheel drive, everything. I just thought I'd compare them up, just so you can see, because if you're new to this, this is certainly, like I say, my first decent crawler. So perhaps you're having a look at an RC car and you're not too sure which style or which you want. I guarantee you won't wind up with one style, you'll wind up with lots. But anyway, so first thing is the suspension was a total shock to me. If I drop this, it sort of bounces all over the place. This one's set up correctly, I would say, for driving, and it just sits nice when it comes. It's got a slight bit of rebound, but it's just about right. That's quite nice. So both oil-filled shocks on them, obviously. They're both at reasonable spec as well for what they are. Tyres are completely different. These are really soft and squidgy. They're just going to roll around and grip anything. They grip anything, but they've certainly not got that amount of squeeze in them. If I just push them both down together, you can see the difference there, sort of thing. Obviously very skinny as well and very chunky as well, so a big difference there as well for you. I'm going to pop the body clip off, and then we'll get into the actual bodies, and I'll show you the sort of real difference in how they actually function and what they do. There we go, so we're down into just the frame of them. Now, obviously, they're really narrow in comparison. This one it almost sort of looks long and thin, and this one looks just sort of a nice sort of squarish sort of shape sort of thing. This takes LiPo batteries, given a load of draw and a load of power, and this one actually takes NIMH batteries. Still got a Dean's T connector on it, the same as that one, but this one's a different sort of draw of power, and just the complete different setup underneath as well. So you can see the drives are all different as well. You won't be able to see them on here because they're all sort of cleared up sort of thing. You've got a massive amount of movement here on the actual shocks, and it can twist as well. It's got these bars here for all that sort of thing, and you can see just a completely different setup entirely. The interesting thing is, if I go to lift this up, it goes up quite a way, and then that just comes off. That's just coming off the ground, that side. Yeah, just about. So that's not far off getting my sort of fist underneath. And if I lift this one up, I'm going to do the same sort of thing. It's really it's just about there. So that's way above my fist, actually. So this has got a lot more sort of lift and twist with it. So let me just show you that. If I just sort of twist it around, you can actually see the difference, and obviously when you're crawling you're going to be all over the place, and you've got these tyres are going to respond differently. This one's similar, but a slightly limited amount of movement on it. Obviously they're going to be completely different the way they run as well, but this one's going to be running really, really slow, and this one sort of belts along quite happily, about sort of 40 miles an hour, and I'm not too sure what this will do because I'm just about to go out on my first run. And you can see again with the tyres there, you can just see how that's just sat on the bench with no weight on it at all. What that one's doing, this one's still actually holding totally together. So I'll run all the specs down the bottom for you and everything. Both transmitters are pretty much identical actually. This one does have your settings, so you've got your adjustment here on your steering and adjustment here on your these are basically trim adjustments, sorry, on the throttle as well. So we just see how we get on with those, and you've got dual rates as well. So we'll just see how we get on with that. You've also got setting up the servo, with the low point and the high point. You can set the low and the high point, and I'm not too sure whether that's been factory set or not. And both very similar. And you're not going to have this one very far away from you, because the idea of it with crawling is to be with it, I would have thought. There would be an option to pop an FPV camera on it, and I suppose you could go off crawling through the woods and everything, because it's probably got a very long run time on this as well. So Let's pop it all together and I'll go and show you the stones I've bundled together. Okay, got some LEDs on the front, which are actually really quite bright. It's a lovely bright day in between the hailstorms, obviously. It's only a little shower. Yeah. There is a rule in Scotland: if you don't like the weather, wait 20 minutes or drive to the next village. So that's the way we tend to work it. I think I mentioned this round the wrong way, actually. This is your throttle one here, your throttle trim. So basically, I'm just going to hold it up. I'm just going to rotate. We'll try and do this with loads of hands. Yeah, so at the moment nothing's happening to the motor. If I turn this up, the motor starts to roll forward, so that needs trimming, or the other way it would go backwards, and it's virtually set on 0 anyway. And the channel one here, it alters the where the steering goes, so if I turn that right round you can see where it's going. You really need to run it back and forwards a couple of times to get it about right, but it seems pretty good. And the dual rates is for the steering only, so so if I turn that, you can see we've got quite a massive amount of steering there. If I turn the steering rates right down, and then if I do it, you can see we get a tiny amount of movement, and that's the full sort of stick movement there, or wheel movement. So I'm just going to leave that cranked right up and see how we get on. Oh, it's really starting to come down now. And there'll be full sunshine somewhere. Yeah, there we go, see? Yeah. Oh. Now these rocks are really quite slippy. They're not great because the lock water, the lock is down the end there, so they flood it up sometimes. So they're a bit greasy sort of thing. I thought there were some really nice big ones here, and there's some small stuff as well we can go and have a play with as well. So there's loads of stuff in the ideal spot sort of thing. And then I will try and give it a quick run on that. I don't think that's going to perform anywhere near it, but you can see the difference then. So here we go, we're ready to go. So this is literally the first go at it. So let's just try it there. Because I'm used to giving loads of throttle to get things to go, and with this it's a different technique. So you need to be a bit easier on the actual what I'm sort of giving it as go sort of thing. Like I say, these are really tricky, slippy. They get quite slimy, these rocks, so actually done really well. Oh, it's so close. Actually, I'm going to nail it and see if I can get through. Nope. Yeah, I did. Okay, let's give it a run out. So that's full speed. Here we go. That's absolutely flat out, that was. Is it going to get off there? I think it is. Look at that. I'm quite impressed with it, actually. There we go. It's getting over some quite serious rocks for the size of it. I'd like to see my mate do this in his 4x4. On the same scale, sorry. Yes, his 4x4 would go over here, no problem at all. Right, I have no illusions that this is going to fail miserably at this, but I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, so first of all, it's not even bothering trying to touch down on the other side. And the power is totally different. You can see the difference with the technique of how it's driving over things. You can see the whole front's lifting. That's sort of an illusion it was given us earlier with how much you could lift this up before that one lifted, because it's not doing it the same when it's actually working, where the rock crawler obviously was. Also, I didn't get peppered with stones with the other one. This is just going to go ballistic. There we go. So yeah, it sort of does it. So I'm going to go back to playing with the rock crawler, and we'll put the other camera on. So there we go, I'm just back after playing around with it, and I've had a blast with it actually. I really didn't think I would. That's why I've really not got into the crawl. I just looked at some of the footage and that, thought, it doesn't look an awful lot of fun. But actually it really is. It's a different challenge. It's just a different area of RC, and it's damn good fun, to be perfectly honest. The car's set up totally different, and to show you how the drives work differently, I just put in this little bit of footage and show you the difference between the two drives. Okay, so let me just explain the difference in how these drive. So this is the normal sort of four-wheel drive ones that you get. I've got loads of these, and they all drive like this. So if I do any drive in one wheel, I can actually make the other one stop. So as you can see there, I can spin it round, and if I just do that, all it's going to do more or less is drive those, and then you get a little bit of drive at the front. This one, if I turn this one, the other one's turn. So one turn here, or at 15 degrees, whatever the turn is, that will happen on all of them. If I try and hold this, so I'm going to hold that front one so it's easy for you, no matter how much I try and push that, it will not let that turn. If I do that with this one, hold this one and turn this one, it's fine. There's no, I'm literally holding that with no pressure whatsoever. I'll fire them both up and just show you when they're actually under power as well. Okay, so just do it with this one first of all. So there we go, it's spinning around quite happily. I hold this one wheel, I can actually hold that and it just goes on to the 3. If I do that with this one, so just press it, there we go, we've got the gentle drive. If I just try and hold one wheel, it will just literally stop everything else, nothing will move. Okay, so as you can see, a real total difference with those two there. Now, running through this has been fully submerged. You'll see on the footage that I'm running, it went under the water basically, but I had the body work on it, so I took the body work off so you could actually see that it went fully submerged. And I love the way it turned this into a little fountain. The little brush motor became a really nice fountain. Everything's perfect. It's not giving me any issues at all. The only thing I would think wasn't waterproof, but it hasn't gone wrong or anything, and it is the switch. It just doesn't look waterproofed. It doesn't seem to have anything on it at all, but it's still working. It definitely went right under the water without any issues at all, and it's all held together really nicely. You've got metalwork all the way along here, so it can take some bashes as well, all the metalwork here is a little bit scratched up with going over all those rocks and everything. That's what it's designed to do. It is a rock crawler after all. And also we've got a little bit of damage here, but really nothing at all. I don't think you're ever going to get right the way through this unless you ran it and ran it and ran it forever. Everything seems to work really nicely on it. Now, finishing off, I would imagine there's people screaming saying, you can't compare the other 4x4 to this because one's a sort of, fast bash around everywhere, and this one's, designed as a rock crawler. Yeah, I know that, and I fully understand that, but if you don't give it a go, you don't know. When I first got into the hobby, I think it was the second drone I got was Tarantula X6. It's like 30-40 quid. I couldn't afford a DJI or anything like that with a 4K camera on and a gimbal. So what I did was I strapped it on the Tarantula X6 and I got some nice stabilized 4K footage off it. Everyone said you couldn't do it because it will burn the motors out and everything else. I'm still running the original Tarantula. It still does run. I don't bother putting all the kit on it because I've got bigger quads to do the job. But that's the idea of the hobby as far as I'm concerned. You can just mix and match your bits and pieces. And if you don't try it next to something, how do you know it's going to be any better or any worse? So yeah, that's the way I just do it. I do the hobby because I love it. It's just enjoyment. It's a hobby at the end of the day. If I get fun out of it, do I get fun? Does it match up to the fun that I have bashing around and drifting the cars and bouncing along and going through the sand and everything at high speed? Actually, it does. It's just a different way of enjoying it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to get this battery on charge and I'm off out for another play.